Welcome back to Boxing Resume. It is time to review the level of competition that high-tech Vasyl Lomachenko has faced.
Ukraine, дамы и господа, Vasyl Lomachenko.
The first fight worthy of mentioning is none other than Orlando Solido, who is a legend in my opinion, and Vasyl tried to make history by becoming a world champion in just his second fight. This was a close fight, and Vasyl Lomachenko suffered his first loss in just his second fight, trying to make history and become the world champion. Loma did become a world champion in his third fight when he fought Gary Russell Jr. Now this was a great fight for him because Gary Russell was not only more experienced, but people felt like he was the better fighter. He was supposed to be in the Olympics. Loma got the gold medal, and then he ended up beating Gary Russell, who was supposed to be the favorite in the Olympics that year, but was injured and didn't get to make the Olympics. Surya was basically a guy who had a lot of wins. He had one loss to Chris John, who's a legend, so he's worthy of mentioning. Gamaliel Rodriguez was on a 17-fight winning streak that saw him beat Orlando Cruz, so he earned himself an opportunity against the great one Loma. Roman Martinez was a Puerto Rican star and a battle-tested champion. He had losses to Mikey Garcia and Ricky Burns, but he had wins over Walter Estrada and even had a win over Orlando Solido, who previously beat Loma. Then came Nicholas Walters, a very dangerous Jamaican knockout artist that was really being feared by everyone. He knocked out Donito Donaire, a legend. He beat guys like Vic Darnishian, and he had a draw with Jason Sosa, but that was a controversial draw. I really feel like he should have got the decision there, and Loma looked spectacular. Jason Sosa had a win over undefeated Javier Fortuna, and he had a draw with Nicholas Walters, so this is the reason why he earned this opportunity. And he definitely got spanked. This wasn't even close. This is around the time that they started calling Loma Lomachenko. Miguel Mariaga was definitely a solid guy who only lost decisions to Nicholas Walters and Oscar Valdez, but Loma was the first guy to stop to make a statement. Guillermo Rigondeaux is one of the best stylistic fighters ever that I've seen, and this was a great win. Both guys are multiple champions and multiple time Olympic gold medalists. I believe this is the first time in history 2-time gold medalists fought each other, and Loma won convincingly. Lomachenko moved up and fought Jorge Linares, who was a naturally bigger guy and a 2-time world champion. This was definitely a good look. He definitely dominated this fight, but did come with some hiccups since he got knocked down in this fight. But Loma showed to have a lot of heart. He bounced back from the knockdown and won. It's important to note that Loma was never truly a lightweight. Was really a featherweight. Jose Pedraza was next. He definitely was a bigger man, very talented, multiple-time world champion, a Puerto Rican star, and Loma did his thing once again against a bigger man, dominated the fight, and looked spectacular. Loma could have stood at featherweight and been more dominant, but he chose to take a risk. Anthony Groya was definitely a good fighter. He had 2 losses to Jorge Linares in close fights, and he was the first guy to beat Ismael Barroso, and he beat guys like Stephen Foster. This was definitely a solid win. Then came the Luke Campbell fight. Now, Luke is an Olympic gold medalist. This was a solid win. Not the best win, but again, Luke was a naturally bigger man. He was very talented, and Loma did his thing. Loma suffered his second defeat in the hands of Teofimo Lopez. Now, this was for the undisputed championship at lightweight. This was a great fight. Loma was a little gun-shy in the early rounds. I think he gave Theo too much respect. But towards the end, he was actually winning the fight. But it was kind of like a little too late to really gain the victory against Teofimo. He popped up some of the early rounds, and although the ending was competitive, Loma did lose. Then came Nakatani. Now, Nakatani had one loss in a tough fight against Teofimo Lopez, and he did have a win over Felix Verdejo before he fought Loma. Richard Comey is definitely a dangerous opponent that Loma made light work of. This guy really has one-punch knockout power. Then came Jermaine Ortiz. A lot of people didn't know who this guy was, but he proved to be very talented as he gave Loma a tough fight. Devin Haney was an undefeated prospect on his way up, world champion. This was for the undisputed championship, and it was an exciting fight. I felt like Loma did better, and he should have gotten the decision, but that's not how it turned out. It was a close fight. I feel like Devin Haney was landing a lot of body shots, but your boy Loma was just handing the bigger punches and the harder shots. Great fight either way. I definitely recommend people to check this out. And then came the George Kambosos fight, where Lomachenko looked like the old Loma. He straight dominated and spanked Kambosos as he should. So right now, looking at the resume, he's had 21 fights. And as you can see, most of his fights was very significant fights against world champions for world titles and multiple divisions. He fought some of the best guys out there. So you got to rate the resume very high in just 21 fights. Most of his fights were all world championship fights. So I'm going to rate this A resume. Only reason why it's not an A plus is because he didn't get to fight every single person that was out there for him. But, A I think is a fair rating. He did fight Dio and Haney, and he beat Rigondeaux. I think Rigondeaux's a great victory. A lot of dangerous opponents, and he wasn't ducking no smoke. He was fighting the best throughout his entire career. So, with just 21 fights, you gotta rank it high at an A. Guys, tell me what you guys think. Do you feel like it's a fair rating? Interact with your boy. Let me know whose resume you want to see next. Peace out, y'all. Thank you for watching.